This is the Talks with Ramana Maharshi Satsang, a time to listen, reflect, and to deeply inquire into the self. Know yourself and be always free and at peace. Welcome. I'm Richard Clarke, hosting this satsang. I'm a seeker like you, sharing what we love. I've been blessed with years of deep teaching and practice that I bring to this satsang. And this week I will continue reviewing and commenting on talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. This week is talk 3. Is the talk. A question was asked as to the nature of happiness. Maharshi, if a man thinks that his happiness is due to external causes and his possessions, it's reasonable to conclude that his happiness must increase with the increase of possessions and diminish in proportion to their diminution. Therefore, if he is devoid of possessions, his happiness should be nil. What is the real experience of man? Does it conform to this view? In deep sleep, the man is devoid of possessions, including his own body. Instead of being unhappy, he is quite happy. Everyone desires to sleep soundly. The conclusion is that happiness is inherent in man and not due to external causes. One must realize his self in order to open the store of unalloyed happiness. One of Buddha's Four Noble Truths is the truth of suffering, that life is ultimately unsatisfactory. Ramana expressed the same thing when he said, all beings want always to be happy. It's a positive expression of the idea, while Buddha's is negative. The suffering that Buddha saw is because people want happiness that lasts. And since everything in the world is only temporary, none of it can bring lasting happiness. Even your most loved thing or person will come to an end, and you will have to give them all up when your body perishes. Ramana's example here is great. If happiness were due to external things, then it should go up and down with the gain and loss of these things. But this is not the case. Is it your experience? This is one of the lies of a materialistic society. They say that happiness comes from things. So to be happy, you should have all the things you can get. What is your experience? It seems like getting more things only begets additional desires. Any happiness is fleeting. Ramana's example of sleep illustrates this. In deep sleep, you give up everything, your waking mind, body, and even your identity. Yet you are happy. A good sleep makes everyone happy. Is this happiness from things or not? There are no things in deep sleep, so it must be from within. Reflect on the difference between the happiness of deep sleep versus the happiness from getting an object of a desire. Which do you really want? Spiritual practice is the search for happiness that does not come and go. To find it, you need to investigate within yourself. What does not come and go will be revealed if you just keep looking. It is always there, of course. What is within you does not come and go. After a while, it seems kind of funny to be looking for what is always there. How could it ever go away that I might need to find it? The idea of it going away is really just imagination. You can be happy always. Just notice what is always there, that you are always full, full of yourself, full of being and consciousness. These never come and go. They are always there. They are never incomplete, never need anything more. When you know you are always full, what else is there to want? When there is nothing more to want, you can just be happy with what is. So, be happy. Now, my teacher, Nome, with a discourse, happy.
Ineffable, immutable, and absolute is the self, our real nature. Ineffable, for it is of the nature of silent being, before which, as the Vedas declare, all words and thoughts turn back, unable to grasp. It is measureless, immense silence. And if there are thoughts and words, they are not apart from that. In truth, there are no thoughts or words. Just ineffable, silent being. Immutable being. Utterly without change. If there be the changeful, such is not apart from that. But in highest truth, the reality ever is just as it is, completely changeless. And absolute is yourself. Self-existent, devoid of a sense of other, without the least trace of the possibility of duality. In seeking to know the self, find that in you. That no word, no thought can define. Find that in you that is continuous and changelessly so, never undergoing even the least trace of modification. Find that in you which is absolute, not dependent, but self-existent, and which is forever. The self which is Sat Chit, being consciousness, is Ananda, bliss. Your own nature is the perfect fullness, which is the supreme happiness. Veiling of this innate happiness is due only to ignorance, which, being made of the stuff of imagination, is quite insubstantial. The ignorance concerns confusion regarding yourself, for yourself is bliss. Being is bliss. Where there is being, there is bliss. As being always is, the supreme happiness always is. But if one says, yet I don't feel it, or I don't feel enough of it, or I don't feel it fully, then an inquiry should be made into the nature of the I who has such a feeling, has such a claim or such a thought. For if that I were established as the real self, pure being, consciousness, bliss, at no time would there be an interruption or diminishing of his happiness. So who is this I? There should be this knowledge. Ignorance alone is the cause of suffering, and ignorance is in the form of misidentification. Knowledge, self-knowledge, destroys that imagination known as ignorance, and reveals, does not manufacture, but reveals the innate bliss, the perfect happiness. Who am I? This is the question to ask in the depths. If the I is known, you are happy, you are happiness itself. And happiness will not become unhappy. If there's a shadow, as it were, obscuring the light of your own consciousness, a veil covering your own bliss, find out of what it is constituted. Who am I? Can there be two selves? One that is bliss and one that suffers? One that is absolute being consciousness and another that is an ego or individual. It is true for everyone that one's existence feels singular. There may be multiplicity of sensations, multiplicity of experiences, multiplicity of thoughts, but existence itself is invariably singular. The undivided existence will not become two. So who is the sufferer? The root of all suffering. If you know yourself, you will find just the wide expanse of being consciousness bliss. Formless, immutable, absolute. If you know yourself, then you have found God. As God never becomes other than God, the self never becomes other than itself. The very root of samsara, the repetitive cycle of illusion of birth and death, is missing. This is what you find if you inquire. Look at your own nature. Trace your own sense of existence inward to its core. Trace the light of your own consciousness to its self-luminous core and see what is there. It is not a body. You are not the body. It is not a sensation, and you are not the senses. It is not the mind, not a thought, not a series of thoughts, not even a thinker. It is not an individual who could be any of those things. Undivided existence, absolute, is undivided bliss, without interruption. You cannot be happy pretending to be other than what you are. And in yourself, reposing in yourself, you cannot be but happy. Find that happiness that does not depend on anything else, but is self-existent, the same in life as in death. Inquire.
All right, and now we are going to inquire. Uh, Breathe in and breathe out with a long, slow breath, and feel the breath as it comes in and as it goes out. Feel your mind quiet. Now notice that you exist. You exist, and you know that you exist without feeling it or thinking about it. It's self-evident. You just know. Already this is beyond senses or thought. Now we're going to inquire, investigate within ourselves. Where does happiness come from? Is it from things, or is it from within you? What about the happiness of a good night's sleep? What is the source of happiness? Who am I? What is the nature of my existence? All right, we'll close with a short chant. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Are there questions or comments today? Then thank you for letting me share this teaching with you. And next week, I will continue with talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi. Namaste.